Tessa Blanchard, the daughter of Hall of Famer Tully Blanchard, was once a bright prospect in the wrestling business. Her entire reputation was mauled in controversy. It was a very, very hard fall from grace back in 2020 after she just won the TNA World Championship, the first ever female world champion in that promotion. One of the very few female world champions in wrestling history. Almost immediately, we saw accusations come out about racism, bullying, just how awful of a human being she was. And not too long after that, her contract with TNA was terminated. And yes, this was during the pandemic. And so a lot of wrestlers chose not to come to work for their own health or other reasons. Regardless, not too long after these accusations hit, she was terminated. And then she just disappeared. That's it. That was the last time we heard from her in terms of what she was doing in the public eye. Now, apparently she is still around. She is wrestling for CMLL. I don't know how you watch CMLL. I'm not too keen on anything outside of AEW, WWE. Once in a while, New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor and other small promotions, but I know nothing about CMLL. So I can't tell you what you gotta do to check her out. But regardless, she hasn't been seen in the public eye all that much. And this is someone that many have said could be just as big as other second, third generational superstars in either company, WWE, AEW, wherever she went. But she just fell off ever since these allegations hit. And we have been waiting to hear her side of the story. Well, she recently did an interview with Straight Talk Wrestling, and she gave us some insight of how things went for her following her departure from TNA in 2020. This was 4 years ago. And so I would like to listen to what she has to say, comment on it, and then get your thoughts in the comments, in the live chat, whenever you're watching this video. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Once again, this comes from Straight Talk Wrestling. I will be linking their channel and the video down below in the description. Let's get to it. Here is Tessa Blanchard.
The dirt sheets are crazy. The dirt sheets love to talk shit. There was so many different things, so many different perceptions, and I believe the interview you had with Mike McGuire was one of the first ones where we got to see the real Tessa Blanchard. We got to hear kind of the full stories of everything that had happened. And everyone loves a comeback. Not that you're in a comeback state, you are in a state of euphoria because you're living your life now the best way and you're having fun in wrestling, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. When it becomes a job, it's no longer fun. If you can have a job and still be fun at it, then that's when you're finding that balance.
Yeah.
The big companies, AEW, WWE, like I said, the dirt sheets love to talk, but nobody knows. Have you been approached? Maybe even TNA under the new banner. Have you been approached? Is there conversations, discussions? I don't know. I get it from your smile. You're like, I can't answer this, George. I get it.
Honestly, so when everything happened to me, it was really it was even like a tough topic to even talk about. I remember I was living in Tijuana at the time, and I remember some days I would wake up, I didn't even have the strength to live that day, so I would just go back to bed, and I would be in my bed all day long. There were days where I was tired about life, just because my identity was wrestling. I didn't know who I was without it, and in a matter of less than 24 hours, it was like from here to boom, from contract offers from the biggest companies, more money than I'd ever seen in my life, to nothing. To this whole storyline we had built for 8 or 9 months, to me begging the TNA office that day, like, I don't want to win it. I don't want to do this. And after I didn't go home, I went on a 27-day media tour in Mexico, where I remember we would pull over in the Uber before every interview and I would vomit. I was just puking and puking because I didn't know, like, everything. It was whiplash. I didn't know. And I was seeing and hearing, and my family, my little brother and sister, who were 14 years old at the time, were reading all these things about me that I knew wasn't me. I knew wasn't in my heart. I wasn't this person, but it didn't matter. Perception's reality, right? The truth doesn't matter. And even the real truth isn't even out there still, and it doesn't matter. But sometimes those things happen because when your feet are pretty far off the ground, when you fall hard. And that's I didn't know my identity without wrestling. And through all of that, through those ups and downs, those really hard days that I didn't know if I was going to get through, I found out who Tessa is without wrestling. I went back to college. I joined ROTC, Army ROTC. And I found out, hey, I'm good at other things too. Like, yeah, wrestling is my dream and I love it. And this is what God's put in my life. But like, without wrestling, I'm going to be okay also. Like, there is a life after this, and one day if I get hurt or one day this isn't in my life, like, I'm still gonna be all right because Tessa's pretty chingon without wrestling. But I've talked to some other companies, and in the time, and pretty recently, it just hasn't felt right yet to go. And one thing that I promised myself is it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter anything. If it doesn't feel right, then I'm not going to do it, because my happiness right now is very important to me. And why I say that is because through all the things that I went through, I developed some anxiety. And it's hard to really, it sounds so silly, I feel like, to talk about, but unless you've actually gone through or experienced like those high levels of anxiety, it's hard to really explain. But there will be some days where I just like, I'm uncomfortable in my own skin even, because it just overtakes everything. And I never had that before all my ups and downs in wrestling, more so the downs. And now it's something that I deal with like quite frequently. Like even just the other day, I remember just us being in a bus of like, there's a lot of people around me. And I just like, I felt this strong anxiety. And now I'm like learning different ways to cope with it. Just like breathing exercises and ways like, hey, Tessa, everything's okay. Like, recenter, refocus, everything's all right. And I feel silly talking about it, but it's something that's really real, like that people struggle with, anxiety.
Please don't, especially around me. I'll just be honest, I don't mean to interrupt, but I myself suffered anxiety my entire life.
Okay.
And I had the worst childhood imaginable. I had two parents who should not have been parents.
Okay.
But it took my wife, and it took a lot of anger, it took a lot of therapy. If you met me 6 years ago, you wouldn't know who I am. But if you look at me now, a completely different person, because I focused on my mental health, and above all else, my wife and my daughters, even when I gave up on myself, they never gave up on me.
Let me just stop really quickly, because I don't want us to lose the thread here. I want to say this as someone who also deals with anxiety, has dealt with it all my life, continues and will continue to deal with it. Mental health is very important, especially nowadays where it's become almost essential to work on your mental health because of social media, because of your access to many more people in the world. You have to be sure this is okay. So what they're talking about, I resonate with, I relate to, and despite everything that Tessa has been through, I do not wish harm upon her in any way, physically, mentally, and I hope and pray that everything that she's gone through, everything that she's going through, she's able to get through it and improves as a person. Let's not get away from the fact that people have said Tessa Blanchard was a bully to me. She was racist, made racial slurs, made me feel less than in my own skin backstage. And it's not just La Rosa de Negro, it's not just all these other women saying it. Even current people like Chelsea Green, and I'll get to her in a second, have come out and said Tessa was extremely hard to work with. And so after a while, it stops being allegations when many people start saying the same things. And I'm hearing her talk about how this has affected her mentally, physically, has completely made her not want to be a wrestler no more. It has affected her love for wrestling. And that's sad to hear. That doesn't mean she can't take accountability. And so I'm going to continue to listen. What I'm looking from Tessa is some shred of accountability. Something that says, okay, I did this and I was wrong for it. I did all these things. And although these statements aren't quite accurate, I will take responsibility for this and this and this and this. Because there's gotta be some smoke to the fire. They all can't be lying on you. They all can't be lying on you. I don't know one person, not one person, that has met Tessa Blanchard that's come out and said something good about her. So there has to be something to what they're saying. And until she's able to say that and take accountability for it, people are always going to look at her as someone that they just can't work with, which sucks because Tessa Blanchard is great at wrestling, because she is someone that can bring a lot of money, a lot of attention to an AEW, to a WWE. And I think we're all just waiting for her to just say it. Yes, I screwed up. I said this. I did that. I'm a better person now. But we'll continue to listen because I just want to make sure we don't lose the thread of what we're here for. Let's continue.
Such a real thing. And like, thankfully you have people like that too. Like, I remember when I was going through some of my things, I remember one day in my dad's house, I was visiting family and I was just doing laundry. I remember I was moving the clothes from the washer to the dryer and I just fell to the ground, like bawling my eyes out. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to live this life. I don't want to be in wrestling. I don't want to do this anymore. And like, I was so like, I remember even just like imagining like ways to just end it all. And my ex-husband helped me a lot through some of those moments, but it took a lot of like self-counseling too, talking to other people and just trying to get comfortable and figuring out who Tessa is outside of the wrestling world, outside of the spotlight, out like when all is said and done, like we came into this world alone, we're going to leave this world alone. Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I not like? Where are my boundaries? Where am I going to say no? What am I okay with? Like all these things, and figuring out how to cope with that anxiety, being comfortable in your own skin. It takes a lot of work. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. It's been a 5-year uphill battle, but the moment that I realized I needed help was when my wife sat me down. She was bawling her eyes out, and she said, I can't deal with this version of you. All the trauma that you had building up and you've never faced it, you need to talk to someone, you need to face it. And like you said, when you fall hard. And when you have the love of your life looking at your face and you've always relied on her to be your savior and she says she can't do it anymore, that's when I looked in the mirror and I bawled my eyes. I don't give a shit. Men cry. We cry. Yeah. I bawled my eyes out and I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you have to save you.
I don't know, y'all. Again, I'm never going to shun or make anyone feel bad for going through what she went through. But I don't like the rut that Tessa is in and this idea that she can't get out of it until some accountability is taken. Like, even right now, since this interview came out, wrestlers have been responding to it. And I am on Twitter right now, and I'm looking right at Chelsea Green's tweet. Look at this. Look at Chelsea Green responding to a post about this very interview. Chelsea says, I don't wish self-harm or thoughts of S on anyone and hope she has found peace. However, a simple I am sorry goes a long way. We haven't heard that yet. Accountability matters. And a redemption tour of interviews won't erase the actions of an egotistical bully. So these women are relentless with their side of the story. They're not backing out of it. They're not changing their stance. That word, bully, racist, we're hearing this over and over and over and over and over again. So there's got to be some smoke to the fire. No, we weren't there backstage. No, we don't know the full story. Tessa's right about that. But again, if multiple people are saying the same thing, Some of it must be true. Maybe Tessa was an asshole. Maybe she was a bitch backstage. And maybe she changed. Cool. We need to know that. We need to see that. Shawn Michaels was an absolute utter nightmare back in the 90s. But he changed and became someone better. Are there elements? Are there still elements of a asshole Shawn Michaels here and there? Probably. I don't know. But the whole point is, he's changed. He's grown. He's a different person now. He's a lot easier to work with. I want to know that Tessa has made those same strides, those same efforts, along with taking care of her mental health, along with acknowledging that this is a hard world to be in. When Chelsea Green, and I think Gabby Ortiz is also here. Yeah, clock that, Team Mama. It's amazing to see someone of your status call this out. Isla Dawn, look at this. These are women in the business who have worked with Tessa. When all of them are still coming out saying, no, you haven't learned your lesson, that you're not a different person. Again, there's got to be some smoke to the fire here. And as someone who was a big fan of Tessa, I say was because my opinions have changed over time. It does sadden me to see such a talent of hers, such a talent, just go to waste because she refuses to just acknowledge, I fucked up. I was an asshole. I'm sorry I did this to you. I now know that what I said and what I did was absolutely horrible. Here are the things I'm doing to improve. Here's where I'm working on myself. If you give me a second chance, I promise you, I will not make that same mistake again. If she just did that and stuck to what she said, we would be seeing her on an AEW or WWE and she would be killing it. The fact that she has yet to not even acknowledge it, not even take accountability for whatever she did, lets me know these accusations might be true. They might be true. I can't say it for sure because I wasn't there. But silence is an answer. Silence lets you know you did do those things because you're guilty. You're written by guilt. So instead of ignoring it, maybe it's time Tessa finally comes out and just says it. Yeah. You want me to say it? I was an asshole. I was exactly what I thought I needed to be successful. I didn't need to do those things. I shouldn't have done those things, but I did. Here's what I did. Here's what I said. I was a bitch for saying it. If I get canceled, okay, whatever. But I need to do the right thing, and I'm trying to make amends. I'm sorry to La Rosa. I'm sorry to whoever you said those things to. All the people I bullied. The Chelsea Greens. The Isla Dawns. I get it. The Allison, what was her last name? Allison Key? Forgot her name. Whatever wrestler, whoever she was an utter bitch to. You know? Allison K, not Key. Allison K. They need to hear that. Otherwise, your reputation is going to follow you wherever you go. Doesn't matter where you are. CMLL, Japan, Australia, America, South America, Mexico. Doesn't really matter where you are. This is going to follow you. So eventually, I really do hope and pray that Tessa finds a way to address this because mental health is important and I am someone that advocates that everyone checks in on themselves and always look to improve and better yourself because you just never know how things are going to be tomorrow. It just takes, the Joker says this, and it's true. It's a comic book saying, but it's true. All it takes is one bad day. All it takes is one bad day, and your entire world can fall apart. So I hope she stays healthy, mentally, physically. I hope she continues to wrestle. I hope she finds her passion again. But ultimately, I really hope she just clears this up. Clean it up. Even if what they're saying is not true, not saying anything is an admission of guilt. You tell me when I'm telling lies. But that's all I wanted to talk about. Give me your thoughts about this situation. Where do you sit on Tessa Blanchard? Are you someone that was a fan of hers and fell off? Are you still a fan of hers and you're just looking to see her back on TV? Let me know how you feel about all of this. But ultimately, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to get out of here. As you file out, do all the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe, and click that bell to catch all my content when it comes out. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and donate using PayPal, Patreon, Cashapp, and Venmo. I love you all. Please know, no matter where you are, whenever you're watching this, this is and forever will be a safe space for wrestling fans like you, and I mean that. So I'll catch you guys next time. This is Alyx, just Alyx, signing out. Peace.